Bryce Leatherwood, welcome to Biscuits and Jam.
Man, it's great to be here, and I appreciate y'all wanting to talk to me and see what's going on, man.
Well, you've got a lot going on. That's an understatement. So it's great to have you here. Where am I reaching you right now?
Well, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Up here, I'm about to go to a write this afternoon and go write some more country music. But up here in Nashville, man, Paradise City, man.
And this is your fairly new hometown. I mean, you hadn't been here all that long, right?
No, I moved here in January of 2023. So I've been here a little over 2.5 years. I love it to death, man. It's the greatest place in the world.
Starting to feel like home?
Yes, very much so. It's felt like home since I got here. I was very lucky to have a lot of great friends in town already, and got to, grow my relationship with them. And everybody in town's been great. The writers have been great. My team's been great. So it's been a journey. It's been awesome.
Well, Bryce, congrats on the new record. It's your debut album, and it's self-titled, and it's been marinating for a while. So it must feel really good to have it out in the world.
It is, man. It's great to finally have, a piece of work you can call your own. I released a lot of singles over the past couple of years, and to now actually have an album. I mean, that's been a dream of mine since I picked up a guitar, is to have my own album. So it's a dream, man. It's great.
You had a lot of songs to choose from. I mean, you're very prolific in terms of the songs that you've written and you've recorded, and also just songs that you performed. What did it take for a song to make it onto this record?
Yeah, it was a lot. There was a lot of songs that we had to choose from, and that I had to choose from. I had the idea. I was like, do I want to make a debut album, or do I want to make the best country album I can? I was like, okay, there's two options here. And I was like, why don't I just make the best country album possible? So that's kind of what my mindset was to do. And I think top to bottom, we did that. We looked at hundreds and hundreds of songs. I've written hundreds and hundreds of songs, and I kind of picked the pool of that and was like, okay, where am I at in my writing skills? Where am I at with what I want to do on stage? And I kind of wanted to get both of those combined into the song choices. And that's kind of what I think we did with all the album songs. So it's, you have your upbeat, you have your downbeat, you have your old country, you got your new country. You got a mix of just about everything, which was who I am.
Well, you've got a great country album, and it feels like something that could have come out a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
In a lot of ways, it feels kind of timeless.
Well, that's the idea, man. I think great country is timeless. The truth is, I listen to 70s, 80s, and 90s country. I don't really listen to what people are doing now. I probably should, but I listen to some things, but I keep my radio on an old station here in Nashville, and keep the old style churning the mind,
Yeah. Well, you're doing something right, and it sounds great. There's so many great songs on there, and they're all kind of memorable in their own way. Bryce, I want to come back to the album in a minute and talk about that a little bit more. But first, I'd love to hear a little bit about your hometown back in Georgia. Tell me a little bit about the house and the neighborhood where you grew up.
Yeah, so I grew up in a neighborhood called Bradshaw Farms, and how it was for us kids was, back then you didn't have an iPad or nothing like that, or iPhones, so you played in mud holes in the ditch. You went and rode bicycles, got hurt, stuff like that. But not only did I live there, I kind of claim two places in Georgia are my hometown. One's being Woodstock, whereas it's about an hour 15 north of Atlanta, where I grew up. I love that place so much. And I claim there, but also claim Macon, Georgia. That's where my granddaddy's farm was. And that's kind of where I got the country living aspect of it, the southern living. And,
there you go.
Getting to ride horses and ride dirt bikes, four-wheelers, swim in mud holes, learn how to drive a tractor, and, live that way. And that's right. That's what I fell in love with mostly. Yeah.
Yeah. So much of your persona, with the cowboy hat and everything. I mean, you look you look kind of Texas. I mean, is that something that you were surrounded by in Georgia?
No, yeah. So my granddaddy, he raised horses, and that was kind of his thing, was wearing a cowboy hat, and I just wanted to be him so bad. You know, he's my hero. He was my hero, and you know, I wanted to keep that going in some way, and you know, I also want to keep going the legends that I grew up listening to, which is, you know, Merle, Hank Jr., you know, all those guys, Chris LeDuc, those guys who wore the hat, and you know, you look at it and you say, that's country music. You know, that's what I want to be. I want people to look at me and say, that's country.
Yeah.
And so we're going to keep it up.
Bryce, I saw that you lost your grandfather recently, and I'm really sorry for your loss. You know, I saw him. I saw you describe him somewhere as your best friend, and I know this is really recent. He sounds like he was a real hero of yours.
Man, that hero don't even do it, man. He was just the leader of our family. He really was, and you know, everyone loved him. You should have seen the funeral, man. There was 200-300 people there, so you knew he didn't do it all bad. You know, he was a really good guy, and he loved his family, loved me like a son. You know, my mama was his only child, so when I was born, and I'm the oldest child of my mother, so when I was born, I was like, I was a son, and I knew it. So it wasn't just like losing a grandfather. It was like losing a father. It really was. And you know, it's not easy. It hasn't been easy for me, but I know where he is, and that's where I find the peace in it all. And I got him for 80 years, and you know, he dealt with a lot of health stuff, you know, throughout his life. You know, he had stage 4 lung cancer 3 more times after that, brain aneurysm, strokes, but he never gave up. And he just fought through it because he loved to be around us and to get to see us succeed. And I think he for the 80 years he got to see a lot of good things. So, you know, I got to be with him for 80 years. So it's hard to beat that. Hard to beat it.
Bryce, what was your connection with him like when it came to music?
Well, he was a big Conway Twitty fan. Him and George Jones and John Conley and Marty Robbins, and some of my earliest and most fond memories are in his truck listening to those CDs and in the cab of his truck. And, you know, that became the soundtrack of my childhood, was that, you know, because I'd spend the summers at his farm, and that's kind of where, you know, my happy place was in Macon every summer. That was where, you know, I wanted to be all the time. And I think it's just a childhood thing of wanting to still be a kid. I think everyone still wants to be a kid in some aspect. Who likes responsibilities? Am I right? But to me, I think me choosing to do this career had a big impact. He had a big impact on me wanting to do this career. I think it's just me wanting to relate back to where I was a kid and where I felt most at home.
It must have meant a lot to him to see you succeed as much as you did on The Voice, winning The Voice, seeing a lot of your dreams come true. I'm guessing he was probably in the front row cheering for you.
It's funny, the first hat I ever made for myself, you know, merchandise, all that stuff. I had a hat, and I gave him the first one, and I signed it. I said, "To my hero," and I signed it, and he never took it off. I mean, he literally wore the stitches out of it, you know, wore the seams out, and he was the proudest grandfather you could ever imagine, you know, and that hard to beat that.
I saw you post something. It might have been just yesterday or the last couple of days, and you wrote a song about him.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that, and you know, what were you kind of trying to say through that song?
I wrote that song on the Monday I got back to town from his funeral, and it's grief is a weird thing. This is the biggest amount of it I've had to go through, and I got to my right that day, and I was still emotional, and I kind of talked through it with one of my co-writers, Jonathan Smith, and he was like, "Hey man, I heard about your grandfather. I'm sorry." And I was like, "Well, I appreciate that." He said, "Well, I know how you feel. I just lost my sister last month." And I said, "Man, God," I said, "I'm so sorry to hear that." I think we kind of had this connection of grief that we were both kind of going through. And I said, well, I think it's right. We write them both a song, something to help, because writing is therapy, music's therapy. I get to go do that almost every day. And, you kind of get to pour out your heart and kind of, lay it out there and try to put it on paper instead of, keeping it inside. So when we wrote that song, it felt like a send off almost, like you did your job here. You did your job to teach me how to be a man, teach me how to do this, that, the other. And, I got it now because of you, job well done. So it was a great song, and I hope to put it out soon. It's really good.
What's the name of it?
Job well done.
Well, I do hope it is a great song, and I hope it's on a record at some point in the future, or you have a way to share it. If the church was a big part of your life growing up, I've heard you mention that. I've heard you talk about it. Was that part of your routine in your family?
Oh, it was a big routine. My dad always made it a point to be at church on a Sunday, and he still serves for his church. And I've been looking at a lot of churches here in Nashville. I think I found my favorite. So it's just growing up in the church. For me, I guess that's kind of where I learned to sing. Besides my grandfather, but I lean heavy on my faith. Without my faith, I wouldn't be anywhere. I definitely wouldn't have my mind right. That's a fact. And that's where I find my peace is in the Lord and my faith. I think growing up in Georgia and having that backbone and having that structure that my family provided me was the biggest privilege and the biggest blessing I could have ever asked for as a child. And that's one day what I hope to give my kids.
What kind of church did you go to? I mean, what kind of paint a picture of it for me?
Yeah, so the first church I grew up going to was a Methodist church called United Methodist Woodstock. I went there, and then Hickory Flat United Methodist, which is technically the small town within Woodstock where I'm really from. We went there, and then the pastor left, so we changed churches. Then we went to a place called Watermark, which became Woodstock City Church, which is an Andy Stanley church. And I love Andy Stanley's preaching, and I grew up, in that community a lot as a teenager, going to camps and stuff like that and becoming involved and making friends through that, and then after that I went to college and, kind of got away from it a little bit. I was more in the party crowd, party scene, the sinning scene, having a good time, which that's college. That happens. But, I came back quickly to my faith, after leaving college, and, my world really changed, and leaned heavy in on that. And, I've had the chance to really grow more in 2 years than I ever have in my faith, which is a beautiful thing because, people think, just because you're a musician, you got it made. Like, people think, oh, he's got $1 million or he's got it all figured out. He's not worried, that's a no stress life, but it's very stressful. You're having to always put yourself out there on the line. You're always having to, be yourself, and even when you're tired or strung out on the road, when you've been out there for 2 weeks in a row and, working hard, getting up early, it's hard work and it's all on you. You're your own boss. So that means you got to be accountable. But with the Lord in your life, you have purpose. There's a person to come to. And I think knowing that has been life-changing for me.
You need some grounding. And, I've talked to a number of folks who have been on The Voice and had really successful runs on The Voice, and not that many winners. But, after that experience and you're performing every night in front of millions of people, and, after that, there's a little bit of a vacuum, and you kind of realize, wow, I've got to actually kind of do the work now and find my way. You don't have that built-in audience every night. And, so it's got to be a tricky transition to make.
It is. And, one of the biggest blessings I have is meeting my team here in Nashville. They came to me during The Voice and said, "Hey, we love what you're doing. We think you belong up here, and we want you to be up here." And so the transition was made a lot easier with them. But you're 100% right. I mean, getting off a show like that, and I think that's why, we haven't seen a winner be very successful yet. A true winner be extremely successful and take the world by storm. And I think, a lot of that has to come with, you get on a show like that, it's kind of laid out for you. You have every opportunity with that show. And then, when you're done with it, it's all up to you. And the truth is, to make it in Nashville, you got to work harder than everybody. And that's, it's not easy to do. So, that's my job every day, is to try to work harder than everybody else around me. So it's not as difficult as people think to post every day. Just trying to get yourself out there, trying to put yourself in front of the world. And but not only that, write great songs, put out great music, and connect with your fans and make them feel like you're a friend and you're at home. So it's been great. The connections I've made with my fans and the responses I've gotten these past few weeks of all the things I've been going through has been just incredible. Just incredible.
I know you know a little bit about hard work because you were a wrestler in high school.
Yes, I was. I feel it every day.
and I was a wrestler in high school.
Oh, come on.
And at a much different weight than I'm at now. But it's a really it's a tough sport, and it's a great sport. But it takes incredibly hard work, and you're on the mat by yourself. It's just you against one other person. There's no team behind you. I mean, they might be pulling for you, but you're the one who walks out onto the mat by yourself. I'm wondering what that experience has taught you about just, working hard.
When I was a wrestler in high school, I became a team captain kind of quick and had a leadership role on the team, which was great. I was team captain for 3 years, and that taught me almost more than anything, which is, having people in your corner. And I know wrestling is an individual sport, but I wanted to build up people. I wanted to be in a leadership role to make people better, which is something I've never had to do. And that role was incredible. Getting to be the man of the arena. And wrestling's such a primal sport. It teaches you everything. Because like you said, you can't blame anybody if something goes wrong. If you don't do your job, it's your fault. It's nobody else's. And I think, that's life. You can't point a finger and say, "Hey, I didn't succeed because you didn't succeed." No, you didn't succeed because you didn't. At the end of the day, it's you. And there's a lot of correlation between that and country music, I think, and being an artist, trying to be, I don't care to be famous. I want to get to do what I love to do every day, and no one's going to stand in my way of doing that. I mean it. And that's the same with wrestling. You had a goal to be the best you could be. You had a goal to, win a couple trophies, but at the end of the day, what mattered is how you grew, and how you accomplished your goals and got over the hurdles that were put in your way. And there's a lot of gratitude in going through the hard work to get there, because if it was easy, everybody could do it.
Well, that's the truth. That's the truth. That is really well put. And I love seeing a fellow wrestler out there succeeding. But I'm glad I don't have to ever do it again, too.
Like I've told so many people, I was like, man, I'll never be in that shape again. I could do anything. I could train for years and never be in that peak of shape. I mean, it was just, yeah, you get it.
Yeah. Well, so Bryce, I want to talk about food for a second. This is Biscuits and Jam, and so we got to talk about food. And I'm curious, who was a cook in your family, and what was on the table?
My mama was the cook. She always had a hot meal ready for us. We were never big on going out to get food, but man, my she cooked a great barbecue chicken, that collard greens and potatoes. I think some more classic mom meals. I mean, Brunswick stew was huge in our house. Chili was huge. Fried chicken, always. Publix fried chicken. That's where we got our fried chicken. Mama didn't like ruining the grill top, so she got that. Besides that, my Nana and my granddaddy's his wife, my Nana.
And this is in Macon.
This is in Macon. I mean, I used to hunt for squirrel, so used to fry squirrel a lot, which was interesting. You know, I thought I was a wild man. So would I still eat it? I mean, if it was cooked right, yeah, I'd still eat it. But that rabbit, the best spaghetti you ever had in your life. But biscuits, I mean, breakfasts were huge at my Nana's house. So she'd had all of us cousins, all 12 of us over there, and she'd have a smorgasbord of breakfast food. So every summer before we hit the pool. So, I mean, it's crazy how food plays into so many memories that, you know, I'm just now realizing it. It's incredible. So a lot of good food. Now I have to go to Wendy's all the time because I don't have a cook.
And you're not, I guess the cooking gene didn't translate to you that much?
It did. I just don't like going to the grocery store. You know, cooking does take time, you know, but I like cooking steak. I cook steak, cook breakfast, you know, stuff like that. But when I really want something, I'll cook it.
So Bryce, what about the holidays? It seems like you have a lot of family, a lot of cousins, and there was a lot of family around Georgia. Did y'all have some pretty big get-togethers?
Oh, we always do. You know, you can guarantee come Thanksgiving, Christmas, you know, big holidays like that, you'll have 20 some odd people in there, and it's loud, but I'm very lucky to have a big family. You know, a lot of people don't. And I was very fortunate to grow up with an incredible family who all gets along good and, you know, is very loving and supporting of what I do. And they're always asking what's going on up in Nashville. And it's just great to have that support base, you know, because without them, you know, I probably wouldn't be here. You know, my goal is to make them proud. So we're doing it every day.
I heard you say somewhere the other day that they would try and bribe you to sing at a family gathering.
Oh yeah. My mom and dad would, you know, come Thanksgiving or Christmas, like I said, they pull me aside and say, all right, here's $20. Will you sing? And I'd say, no, keep your money. I'm okay. I don't want to do it. And they come back, all right, 20, 25. I was like, all right. They were bartering. Like they were hustling.
They knew what they were doing. I think they had the right idea.
I think you're right. I think they saw it before I did, that I had a talent for it. And I didn't know I loved it till they knew I loved it. It was really cool. And my parents are probably the reason I do it, for sure.
Bryce, you've got this incredible voice. I mean,
well,
really, I mean, even hearing you talk, you have a great voice. It's no surprise that you won The Voice. When did you really become aware of that voice? I mean, I'm trying to kind of imagine you before your voice changed, and how dramatic that must have been.
Oh man, well, there's a video out there of when I was in middle school, singing at a talent show. If you ever want to get a taste of that, it's out there somewhere. It's pretty cute, but you know, that's a great question. When did I realize? Probably I was on that stage in the final three where we were all huddled up they're about to decide who wins the show. And I was like, well, I have a 1 in 3 shot of winning this thing, so they must like me. And then my life changed forever. So, you know, I've never really said I could sing better than anybody. There's a lot of great singers out there who can sing laps around me, but I just think what people, you know, related to is the authenticity of how I sing and what I sing about. So I think that worked.
I think you've talked about how it was the relationships that you made on that show that, you know, have really stayed with you, and friendships. And is there one in particular that really kind of stands out, you know, someone that has kind of become a lifelong friend through that process?
Oh, absolutely. My best friend, Connor Sweeney, he lives here in Nashville, and it was funny, you know, after I won the show, I got off stage and, of course, was emotional and all that. I got to see my family, but as soon as I got a moment backstage, I was walking to the green room, and I got a phone call. It was from him. And I met him very early on the show. You know, he didn't get very far, but he was just such a good guy. And, you know, I got a call, and he said, hey, when are you coming to Nashville? Because he lived in Nashville. And he was like, when are you coming here? And I was like, well, of course, still got all my stuff at college still. And he was like, well, I got a place you can stay rent free. Just keep beer in the fridge and we'll call it even. I said, all right. So I slept on his couch, which is the house I live in now, because he got married, so I got his room. But I slept on that couch for 6 months when I got to town, and
Wow,
had a place to stay. Yeah,
that's a friend.
That's a good friend, and he's still a great friend. We just played golf yesterday, so yeah, good guy.
That's great. Bryce, I want to do something real quick that we call the jam session, and this is just some kind of quick answers. Are you up for that?
Absolutely.
All right, so George Strait or George Jones?
Oh my God. I'm gonna get some hate. Oh gosh. Why are you doing that? You see, I'm supposed to answer quick. That's my two favorites. So
you can just say both.
Okay, George Strait. George Strait, yeah.
All right, acoustic or electric?
Acoustic.
Beer, wine, or whiskey?
Beer.
The worst job I ever had was blank.
A line cook at Shane's Rib Shack.
We may have to talk more about that. The best barbecue place in Georgia is blank.
Oh my gosh. Why am I forgetting the name? It's in Macon, Georgia. It's so good. Oh my gosh. It slipped my mind. But I call my Nana. She knows. Finch's Barbecue.
The perfect summer sandwich is blank.
Oh my God. It's so what you do is you get your stone ground mustard, slap that on a piece of bread. You get turkey, ham, and chicken all sliced. And you get your lettuce, banana peppers, then cool. You can pick your Doritos, but you got to put some Doritos on there. Then you put a little mayo, and then you slap it together, and you're ready to go.
Wow, that's a sandwich. You might have to put a name on that.
Oh yeah.
The Bryce Leatherwood sandwich. All right, the hot sauce that I always reach for is blank.
Texas Pete's become more like a ketchup for me. I love hot stuff, so I love Louisiana hot sauce. It's got a little kick to it. It's a little Cajun. I like Louisiana hot sauce. Yeah, or Cholula. Cholula's really good. You can put that on anything.
Okay, you like options.
I like options, yeah.
I'd love to sing a duet with blank.
Carrie Underwood for female and Chris Stapleton for male. I think that'd be sick.
I think it may be in your future. All right, last question. If I hadn't been a musician, I would have been blank.
Probably an entrepreneur somehow, some way. I would have probably had a lawn care company, landscaping company, so I probably would have stuck with that and had several trucks and become the CEO of some lawn care company, because everyone has to have their grass mowed in Georgia, as they know. So there's money everywhere to be made. So yeah, probably that.
All right. Well, if this music thing doesn't work, then you can keep that in your back pocket.
There's no other option, brother. I'm hooked.
All right, Bryce, I want to talk to you about the new album a little more.
Yeah.
And the first song on there is called In Lieu of Flowers.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sorry, but you were way too young to be singing about the ever after. Talk to me about why you decided to lead off the album with that song.
I thought it'd be funny. I really did. I thought it'd be funny to come out with a funeral song at the first song. I think it caught a lot of people by surprise, and that's kind of what I wanted to do, was to have a little shock value. And it's funny, that song was written by one of my good buddies, Matt McKinney, and he, funny enough, wrote it about someone in my hometown, literally the aunt of a classmate I had my senior year, because he was from my hometown, and he wrote about her because she said, when it's my time to go, I don't want a funeral. I want you to take what you're going to put towards a funeral and put it on a bar tab, and y'all just go drink all night. And that's what they did. So, true story. So it's pretty cool, and it felt like a hometown connection. So that's why I cut it, and I love that song so much.
Well, it's a great song, and I bet it's already finding an audience out there.
Oh yeah.
I want to ask you about another one, and this is one that you performed at the Opry, I believe, and it's called Shenandoah.
Yeah.
And I love this song. It really kind of jumped out at me off the album, and I'm just curious kind of where it came from. It sounds like a song that it could have been written a long time ago.
Yeah, I think that's the theme, right? I'm an old soul for sure, and I wrote that song in the early part of 2023, right after I got to Nashville. And I think it was just more of a concept of just trying to make the prettiest song possible. A song that, you could listen to on a long car drive. Like, a song I think relates to it, maybe a little Sunshine on My Shoulders by John Denver. Some Traveler here from Chris Stapleton, just that driving song. And it's almost like you can see the song with just listening to it. So I think we did a great job with that song, man. It's probably one of my favorites I've ever written. I still don't know what it's really about. I mean, it could be about the Shenandoah Valley. It could be about a woman. I think it's a little bit of both. And I think that's really cool. You can interpret it how you want.
What was it like for you to perform that song at the Opry?
Man, that was the night I made my debut, which I say is the best night of my life. I've gotten the chance to play the Opry a lot this year, and they're just the best people. But that was my last song. So after I sang that, I got a big standing ovation, which was just incredible. So that was probably one of the biggest highlights of my life for sure.
Well, and it's on a pretty special year. I mean, it's the 100th anniversary of the Opry. So that must have felt really good to be there on such a kind of a momentous occasion.
It was, man. It was it's hard to beat it. Hard to beat it.
Bryce, you've got a fan base now, and you've got a lot of kind of genuine fans that are different probably from the Voice fans. I mean, I know you had a fan base there, and they put you over the top and helped you win. But now you're kind of, over the last couple of years, you're starting to really interact with more hardcore fans, people who are coming to see you, maybe on multiple occasions. They're probably people that you recognize at shows. And I'm just curious, what are some of the things that you hear from them when you get a chance to interact?
Oh man, it's been great to go to so many shows and just hear from people who are, people I not that I have met before, but people are like, I came from Brazil to be here, and we're in Mississippi. And it's like, what are you doing here? Stuff like that. People, I'm from Sweden. We came to America, and one of our bucket list things was to see you play. And I mean, it's people from out, I think a lot of us are people from outside the country who get to, hear what I do, but not just that, people from small town USA, bringing their whole families and probably had to save up to come to a show, and, and the travel and all that stuff and hotels. And to me, that means the world. Someone would go out of their way to come and see a show and get to experience it. And for me, like my super fans, as I call them, they're all over Facebook. Watch out. They're a wild bunch, and I love them to death. They're always at my shows, and it's my little traveling fan base, which I love them so much. And it's been so great to have that translate from The Voice and have a whole new set of fans now because of social media, because of what I put out and all my music. So it's been a lot of good growth, and got to keep it going and get people rallied around what I think country music should sound like.
Well, you're about to do that with this new album, that's for sure. And talking about growth, I mean, I saw you last year were touring with Dwight Yoakam, who's such a legend, and also has that just incredibly distinctive voice. I mean, you just can't miss it. He doesn't sound like anybody else. What are some things that he taught you about performing and being an artist?
Well, you can do it for the rest of your life for sure. Dwight's getting up there, but man, he can still move around and he can still sing great. And it shows you that if you dedicate your life to it, it'll give back to you at some point.
Yeah.
So he's a legend, and it was an honor to grace the stage with him. And I've got to grace the stage with a lot of cool legends already, and it's been a blessing.
Well, Bryce, I just have one more question for you.
Yeah, man.
What does it mean to you to be Southern?
There's no better blessing than getting to grow up in the South, man. Getting to spend time outside, getting to grow up in the outdoors, getting to learn how to shake a hand, how to open a door. That's really the truth. The Southern values, and people that ain't from it sometimes don't get it, but it's really about how you carry yourself. I think the class you have, the respect you have for others. And I think that's the most important thing. And the love you have for the Lord. Being born Southern is the reason I'm still here. Come on.
Well, listen, I wish you nothing but the best, and congrats on the new album. It's got to be just really exciting and must feel so good to have that done and, be on the cusp of sharing it with so many people. I'm really sorry about your grandfather, but I know he is smiling on you right now.
He is, man. I know where he is, man. But Sid, I appreciate you having me out here. God bless you and your team, and God bless country music. We're going to keep it up.
Well, thanks for being on Biscuits and Jam, Bryce.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.